Hello and welcome back to the Shed Geek Podcast. Here's a message from our studio sponsor. Let's be real. Running a shed business today isn't just about building great sheds. The industry is changing fast. We're all feeling the squeeze, competing for fewer buyers while expectations keep climbing. And yet, I hear from many of you that you are still juggling spreadsheets, clunky software, or disconnected systems. You're spending more time managing chaos than actually growing your business. That's why I want to talk to you about our studio sponsor, ShedPro. If you're not already using them, I really think you should check them out. ShedPro combines your 3D configurator, point of sale, RTO contracts, inventory, deliveries, and dealer tools all in one platform. They even integrate cleanly into our Shed Geek marketing solutions. From website lead to final delivery, you can quote, contract, collect payment, and schedule delivery in one clean workflow. No more double entries, no more back and forth chaos. Quoting is faster, orders are cleaner. And instead of chasing down paperwork, you're actually running your business. And if you mention Shed Geek, you'll get 25% off all setup fees. Check it out at shedpro.co/ShedGeek. Thank you, ShedPro, for being our studio sponsor, and honestly, for building something that helps the industry.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast from Metropolis, Illinois here, where we've got sunshine in the day and thunderstorms in the afternoon. It sounds like it's spring. Today I'm joined by the good folks over at unpack. But before we get rolling with the interview, just want to give you a couple ways to stay plugged in with us over here at Shed Geek. If you have any questions, give us a call, 618-309-3648. You can email us at info@shedgeek.com or contact us at shedgeek.com. Just go to our website and fill out any lead forms necessary to the purpose for which you're reaching out. Please like and follow our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. And stay plugged in with groups and private groups like the Shed Sales Professionals and other private groups and even open groups around the shed industry. For the Plain community members, our call-in landline number is 330-997-3055. My guess is you're not going to be listening to this on YouTube, but for those who have Plain community friends, share that number with them. Hot item of the day, I don't have anything other than a conversation about marketing, which is exactly why we have the professionals here today, James and Joel, joining us from unpack. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, good to be here.
It's been just a little bit since we've chatted, and not really been a while, James. I feel like me and you chat fairly regularly, just not always on the podcast. But it's exciting to have you guys back. Certainly appreciative. For you guys, I think you've done a couple episodes, even sent us a couple of while we were out on the road, even sent us a couple places while we were out on the road, and was able to interview some people because you were able to make some contact with those for us. So we really appreciate that. We thank you for all that you guys do in the industry. And we want to talk about let's start out with the new ownership. I think we interviewed Chris one time before, but it looks like you guys are making progress and moving forward and so a few changes over there in a good way. I'm sure Chris is doing great, but in a good way. Getting some opportunity here. So tell us about it.
Yeah. So we just finalized full transition. Myself and Joel and one other partner finished buying out Chris's ownership in the business. So he is on to greener pastures. He has multiple things going on. So he has plenty to keep himself busy with. Really kind of set us up and was his brainchild originally. And 10 years in, he kind of came to the realization that his involvement had sort of run its course, and he was ready to try his hand at something new. He's really, a visionary. Anybody who knows him knows he's the visionary entrepreneurial type. And so he had some other things he was able to kind of focus on. So he has a few other businesses now. One of them is focused on chicken coops, actually. So yeah, he's doing well.
Nice.
So the new ownership Yeah, the new ownership team then is the three of us. So Eric, who's not on the podcast, he's our lead developer, has, yeah, I don't know, 10, well, probably 15 or 20 years of web development experience. So he kind of leads our technical team. And then Joel and myself.
Very nice. And Joel, this is our first time getting to meet, but certainly nice to meet you. And it sounds like you've been over at Impact for a while, I'm guessing.
Yeah, good to meet you as well. Well, it's funny as you were talking about just the business transition. It's always weird in my head. I think about 6 years ago, I was a youth pastor and I was playing dodgeball with high school students, and now I own a business. So I don't know how that transition happened necessarily, but it's been a lot of fun. I've been at Impact since 2021. Started writing content back in October of 21, and then yeah, slowly have now found myself in an ownership seat, which is I don't know, I'm just very excited about it. I love the team that we have right now, and one of my roles here is CPO, or Chief People Officer. I thought HR sounded a little too official, and I don't know, made people nervous maybe. So I take care of our people, and I also help with some of the strategy for some clients as well. But yeah, it's been a lot of
Uh,
fun.
well, the Lord works in mystery, and you can always play dodgeball over at Impact if you get bored.
That's
I'm sure
true.
they'll.
Yep.
No, I love the term, the acronym CPO, Chief People Officer. Just having fun in general, a little bit more the things we probably need to do in our business, and yeah, appreciate your dedication also to the ministry there. That's awesome, and just sounds like an exciting, like good time over there at Impact with all the changes that are going on in a good way, right? Like growth. You're seeing growth, and yeah, that's pretty awesome to hear that Chris is still like, especially with chicken coops. I mean, what a sister industry, if you will, to everything that we do that is shed related for sure. So, well, let's jump in. Like let's talk about marketing. Maybe let's talk about what it looks like you know, let's talk about what it looks like in today's landscape. I mean, I made the comment, I think, before we got started here, recording, like marketing is so ambiguous. Like, now, are we talking about digital marketing? Or are we talking about traditional marketing? And I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts because we've been paying a lot of attention to traditional marketing here lately. Cord, who does the Friday shows, he's got a marketing degree, and he's really been harping on this a little bit here lately about the loss of logos, the loss of like marketing on the actual lots, good signage and things like that. We get so often caught up into the digital conversation, which deserves its own place and in today's retail market. But what are you guys' thoughts, and what are we seeing? Who's doing it well? Who's not doing it well? In like even traditional marketing?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I know you have a lot of marketers, or probably a relatively high percentage of your guests are marketers on here, right? So I think it's a topic that's sort of front and center, and probably even just with your own interests and the angle that you take within the industry. So, like the question, like what is marketing? I think it's one of those things where you ask 10 marketers, you get 20 answers. Sort of maybe a little bit. I can give you my take on it. The way that we kind of think about it and talk about it internally is it's kind of simple. Like there are people out there in the world that have problems, and there are other people who can solve those problems. And those are the two sides of a market, right? And when you bring them together to do business, that is the market. So it's the exchange of goods and services. Marketing is just bringing those two groups into contact so that that market can take place. So to me, that's the simplest definition, whether you want to picture it as a bridge, or, an outlet where you're plugging the two sides together, but that's really what it is. So there's different components of marketing. There's the thing of like, maybe some problems people don't even realize initially is a problem, right? And so like if you use the simple classic example in the shed industry of like, oh, they're tripping over stuff in the garage. Um, if you get used to having your garage full of stuff, that becomes normalized, right? And so like opening people's eyes to like, oh wait, maybe I don't have to like keep everything in the garage. Maybe I could actually park the car here. And so there's like the problem awareness part of marketing. There's, okay, so I need to clear the garage out. What's the best solution? Should it be a shed? Should it be self-storage? Should it be the attic? You know what I mean? So there's different ways to solve that problem. Why is a shed the best solution for a certain segment of people. And then, a step further, what is the best type of shed? Who's the best shed builder? It gets down, and they narrow the focus down to, okay, we're looking for, a 10 by 12 with a gambrel roof, and, where do we buy it? Right. And so in some ways, if you're familiar with the classic concept of the marketing funnel, the different stages of the funnel are just serving different parts of like helping the person be aware of the problem, clarifying what the problem is, what's the best solution to it, down to like who's the best provider now to actually solve that problem. But really at its simplest, it's you're solving problems for people and they're paying you to solve that problem. And if we can bring those two sides into contact, that's where the market takes place. So I don't know, there's my definition.
Oh no!
Sam, what's going on? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine, Lisa. I was just trying to get a screwdriver and all this other stuff fell down. I'm ready to go buy a shed so we can have some space in this garage again.
I agree. I keep looking at the shed Mr. Jenkins bought. Let's ask him where I got his.
Howdy, neighbor. We're wondering, how do you like your shed?
I love it. It's exactly what I needed, and I couldn't have asked for better service.
And where did you get it?
I can't remember, but let me check. Something this nice will probably have the builder's name on it somewhere. No, I'm sorry. I can't find a name anywhere.
Well, we finally got a shed.
Yes, I just hope we're happy. The thing is a lot more shoddy than I expected, and I'm sure I told them I wanted a window, but they didn't have it in the paperwork, so I couldn't argue. Boy, is this a lousy shed. We haven't even had it 2 years, have we?
Barely. It was just a bad deal all the way around. Mr. Jenkins told me the other day that he likes his shed so much he wants to get a second one, but he still can't remember where he got it.
Your product is your best advertising. At Identigrow, we provide nameplates that ensure your quality products are never forgotten. Identify your products, grow your business. For more information, visit identigrow.com.
Or give them a call at 540-283-9193.
No, that's good. I had mentioned the conversation kind of develops itself, and the first two things I write down already is branding and marketing versus sales. And I know we've kind of had some conversation on this before, but where do you really feel like, I like to I've said this a billion times that like when you're a small business, your chief marketing officer, your chief sales officer, your chief ordering person, purchasing, your chief trash taker outer, your everything. You just kind of like consume the business. And as you start to grow and as you start to scale, it almost feels like, maybe there's not as quick of a separation between the marketing and the sales side in the shed industry than what I think is necessary or maybe would like to see. Marketers are not necessarily always salespeople. Marketing's always getting the blame, right, for bad sales. I think Kyle Summers, I think he might have been on whenever you guys were interviewing the first time. He's got a comment out there that I love that he had put on Facebook that said, bad salespeople get good marketing companies fired. And I think that's just a universal truth to that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's that separation between marketing and sales in the shed industry?
Yeah. And again, I can give you my thoughts on it. And I think the implied caveat to all of this is these are my ideas and these are not, whatever. Take them with a grain of salt, right? I don't we don't purport to be the be all end all of marketing knowledge. We certainly have maybe picked up a few things over the years and we try to know what we're talking about. But, I think it's just great to keep an open mind with some of these things. I can tell you the way that we sort of look at it is marketing is the communication and education. A lot of times sales teams get tasked with doing what marketing should be doing ahead of time, which is communicating and educating about what the product is. The goal of sales, the job of the sales team, and again, this is where if you get sales coaches on, they may have a little different take on this. But the sales becomes more important the more customizable a product is. So the sales team's job is to do that final customization on a complex product to make it the perfect solution. Again, with that paradigm of solving problems. We don't have salespeople for paper clips, right? We barely even have marketing for paper clips. We know what they do, right? That's a commodity purchase. I buy it, it does the thing, and it solves the problem. There's no customization needed, right? Same thing with, a lot of consumer goods. Now there's marketing there, right? To educate people about why do you need this particular energy bar versus this other one, right? You get into consumer packaged goods and all those other things, but you don't really have a salesperson because, again, there's no customization needed. But when you're talking about things like buildings, business software, right? Very complex purchases, marketing does the general communication of where this product fits, what the feature sets are, et cetera, et cetera. Sales then takes that and tailors it to the individual user. That's the job of sales. And so what happens a lot of times is the sales team ends up explaining the product specs, the product details. Why is this product a good solution for your problem, et cetera, et cetera. That's all marketing stuff, right? When really they want to be saying, okay, what's your use case? Let's tweak this. Let's, modify the building in this way so it's the perfect fit for your exact use case. So that's how I would pitch it. Now, I know there's some that probably would take a little bit different interpretation of it. I think you had was it Jim Moser from
Mosier Data. He's
Mosier
shed marketer, Mosier Data.
Yeah. And he was mentioning like using AI to kind of close the loop, like recording sales calls and stuff. And the beauty of a solution like that is you're taking all this marketing work that the sales team is doing on their sales calls, and then you're able to capture it in some way where you can actually start to process it back into your marketing, improve your marketing off of that. So the sales team I don't think you're ever going to get away from it perfectly, but you want the sales team to be doing less marketing and more selling, personal interaction, customer service. And then that's where they can really focus on. The other half of sales is just the customer service aspect of it. Like how fast you call someone back has nothing to do with the product. It has nothing to do with sales. That is really just a customer service. And so if you can take some of that marketing burden off the sales team, then you free them up to actually really have that personal connection and like serve customers really well. So I don't know. I talked a lot. I don't know if Joel has more or you have.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Joe?
Shannon?
Like if you
I don't have too much. I think I don't know. I feel like in some clients, and these are probably actually clients we don't work with anymore in the past, there's almost been an anti-separation of sales and marketing too. And so recognizing that we're also still on the same team, and it's not the blame game. Like I don't want to play the blame game when I'm marketing for a client and they're asking me, how come the sales are down? And I go, I'm looking at the leads and I'm thinking, well, your leads are up. It must be the sales team. And it's not, I don't want to have that be how that conversation goes. I would rather work with the salespeople, work with the sales team leader, whoever it is, to figure out the root cause of, well, are their leads just not qualified? Are they tire kickers? Or, are you guys having trouble keeping track of the leads that are coming in? Is it something that we can do better? Is this something that we can help you do more of with the CRM? And so I think just also that relationship, and I don't know how it is with all the different shed clients out there now, but just making sure that you put the time and energy into that specific relationship, because you are one team trying to achieve that one goal to start with.
I think of this is maybe a bad metaphor, I'm not sure, but especially with today's, like landscape and what we're seeing, happen in real time overseas in the news. But I always say the Marines give the Navy a hard time and the Army a hard time and the Air Force a hard time. And, but the reality is they come together as one united front when you're trying to, and if you think of your business that way, that your sales team and your marketing team and even your production team and your hauling team or whatever is all coming together for the benefit of the customer. And that's a lot of moving parts. Right. There's a lot of gears turning there to try and make sure that you maximize the efficiency of each of those individual entities. And that can become hard to do. But I think the answer, I wrote this down. I think that the answer comes through education. Like it's almost like, I don't know about you guys, but I did not like school. I just didn't like it. I didn't like even education until I was like 28. Then all of a sudden I became like, it was like it dawned on me, this realization that I can be educated in multiple things. And I really began to crave education once I matured. But whenever I was young, I was just rambunctious and just, wanted to go outside and play recess and play baseball. But as I've gotten older, I've realized, it's the more educated you are, whether you're talking about rent to own in this industry or finance or product design or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could name. We was joking around about paint earlier. And I think I told you guys like we did an exclusive partnership with the guys over at Pittsburgh, and James was like, well, hey, I got thoughts on covering, so maybe we'll get to that. But it's one of those things where I'm like, the more educated you are on all of those things, the better you're going to be. But would you guys, I don't know, would it be fair to say that sometimes like people in business, and maybe we should even say people in the shed industry, kind of have their thoughts on how they want to go about it, how they want to accomplish it, and sometimes that maybe closes off a few avenues of opportunity because you haven't educated yourself further. The Apostle Paul talks about furthering education, right? I mean, this is a very faith forward industry, and I know that they appreciate that. So he talks about the ability and the need to continue to be educated. And who's doing that is the question. Who's doing that? Like, where's your education coming from? Where's your information coming from, Joel, about CRMs? Where's your information coming in about ads? I got to thinking about one person that said, advertising. So now you get, you shorten that to ads, you abbreviate it. And then like Facebook became like, hey, we run ads on there. But they weren't talking about the Facebook ads manager. They were talking about boosting posts and typical social media presence, right? Like a business page, or the difference in a closed group and an open group, how the algorithm changes and how Facebook messes with that constantly for marketers, right? So we've got to stay on top of it. And I guess the question is like, where do people go get educated, and what are the things they should be looking for today? If you're a shed company, what should I be getting educated on from a marketing perspective? How about that? Let's narrow it down to that.
Shed builders, if you're looking to boost efficiency and improve your truss and component production, you need to know about IFAB LLC. We've been building shop-tested, builder-approved equipment since 2011, and we specialize in reliable, durable solutions for real-world shed manufacturing. From truss presses and our adjustable jig to the precision door table, forklift building movers, and three-point building movers, IFAB equipment is designed to help small shops and large production operations run smoother. And if you haven't seen our latest truss saw system, you're missing out on some major upgrades, like an integrated stop system, pneumatically automated slider saw, integrated scrap conveyor, and a standalone elevating conveyor. These innovative options are helping shops cut faster, cleaner, and more consistently than ever. Whether you're expanding production or tightening up your workflow, we're here to help. Visit IFAB LLC to explore our machines or give us a call. Let's talk about improving your shop. IFAB LLC, simple, innovative solutions for the shed industry.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's a big question. So a few thoughts I have on that. Just keeping that, like we talked about this earlier as well, keeping that humble mindset is so important. Something Chris used to say frequently internally here when he was leading Impact was, we're not the best, but we're better than we were last year, right? Just keeping that mindset of like, we don't know it all. And it's probably not, shouldn't say probably, it's not possible to literally know everything. You will never reach 100% expertise. Even when you look at, let's say football, for example, there's different coaches with different strategic game plans, different, and they're always innovating, and somebody's always doing something new, trying something new. And there's, often, that's why dynasties are so hard in a lot of sports, right? It's because there's so many factors that go into it. There's so many variables. And so something like marketing where, you're essentially trying to communicate with people who have real problems, but a limited attention span or a limited amount of focus, is that people are going to be trying things new. It's going to constantly be evolving. That's never going to change. And so, I always try to have the mindset of like, here's what we see working. Here's why we think it's working, or maybe why the data says that it's working, right? And getting as close to certainty as possible, while also saying like, let's be open to ideas from our clients, from elsewhere, of like, what's the best way to do things. So just keeping that open mindset, that's a good thing. So as far as where to get educated, that maybe brings up a little bit larger question, even, of how deep do you go in education on something like marketing versus outsourcing it, right? So, you know, and that's a question, and it depends a little bit on what the organizational approach is to outsourcing versus like building, in an in-house team. It depends a lot also on scale, right? Because if it's a small, mom and pop shop, it's going to be tough to afford someone who can do full-time marketing, and then you're expecting them to go dive deep on all these different areas of marketing, which is its own world, unto itself. And so there's some balancing like that. So, anyways, that's maybe prefacing thoughts a little bit. I do think you want to, and this is the value of like good marketing advice, good business advice, any good advice, is you want to solve the most pressing problem that's right in front of you. So instead of like going into a vacuum and saying like, what do we learn about marketing? It's, what is the bottleneck right now? Sometimes, having a good, either if it's an agency partner or a consultant, I know you're getting into marketing consulting, to be able to narrow down the focus and say, here's where the bottleneck is right now in the business. Okay, let's focus on learning about that area of marketing. We don't have to know about everything. Let's really solve the problem that's right in front of us. So that's maybe a non-answer to your question, but it's one of the most useful things. It's what I see predicting success, like for employees, for organizations, is like, how much can they narrow down the focus to the most immediate problem, address that, and then go on to the next problem and address that. And if you're educating yourself on the issue that's right in front of you, that's that's going to get you a long ways. So as far as specific areas, two big ones. The most immediate one is probably just local visibility. So to go back to that picture of the marketing funnel, the people near the bottom of the funnel are the ones who they know they're going to buy a shed. They know they're going to, maybe even what size, what style, and they're searching, shed builders near me, sheds for sale near me, 10 by 12 sheds for sale near me, like these kinds of searches. One thing that's changed with, let's say Google's algorithm in particular over the last few years, is that it's gotten a lot more localized. So it used to be, if you would type like storage sheds, you would see the same result across the entire country, right? And so it would be one or two brands that did a really good job with SEO, and then they would rank in the entire US for storage sheds. More and more, Google is understanding which specific product categories and which specific search terms are generally purchased locally. So even without you putting your state in, your city in, even without near me or any of those searches, Google understands if somebody searches shed builders, they're trying to hire someone near them. The way you can tell if a certain search term is considered local by Google, I know you know this, but for the audience, is if you do a search and you look near the top of the search results, and there's the maps pack with 3 or 4 Google business profiles listed there, that tells you that Google is viewing this search as a localized search. More and more, frankly, the majority of shed related searches have now been localized. So it makes the barrier of entry actually easier for small, independent local businesses, and actually probably takes a little bit of market share away from these single big players that had a good dominant nationwide SEO presence, a number of years ago, to now where it's a lot more localized. And so it actually is easier to get your foot in the door in your local area if you're focused on it and know what you're doing. So anyways, I'll break there. Maybe there's more I could say, but
no, that's good.
Yeah, that's probably
that's really
the top place to focus.
Especially on the educational side, we started consulting, and we even, I think it's okay to say we even kind of share a client in that space for that very reason. Is sometimes you realize through a consulting process, like who the best person is to serve that client, and like we found that to be you guys, right? Like through this consulting process, and a lot of the variables go into that, from knowledge, experience, ability, pricing, just a plethora of things. And we want to continue that professional collaboration. And I'll tell you why we did this is because we created a platform that people begin to call in and ask questions about. And the question we were asking recently is like, when does that become a business model? When does your experience? I mean, there's a reason a shed hauler charges, $750 to move the shed instead of $250, right? It's because of his time or her time and experience, their expertise, their ability to do something quick, the fact that they've invested in the equipment that's going to move it without harming the shed. All these different things go into it. Like you could probably move it in a half a day, but they could probably move it in 15 minutes. And that's where you're paying for, where your payoff becomes in marketing. We always use the words, we want to make you more money than we cost. Like that's just been part of our sales pitch. If we're not making you more money than we cost, we should be walking away. We shouldn't just be a line item on the budget at the end of the day where you're like, well, you got to pay for marketing. Well, no, it's supposed to help you.
Positive ROI is the way we phrase it internally, but like that has to be the baseline, right? If anytime you're going to outsource some of this, you're going to hire somebody, there has to be a net return. Otherwise, right? What's the purpose? Then it's a cost center, not a growth input for the company.
You can be a marketer, but for those who say I can do it cheaper myself, it's like, wow, you talk about getting thrown something in your face. Is like, imagine when your customers come in to buy sheds who constantly say, well, I can build this myself. No one's taking away your ability to be able to do the job, right? Like, or figure it out. Like you can figure it out. And for the large companies that end up, hiring an internalized marketing, team, which I'm of the opinion you need a team, because if you have one individual, I still believe it's hard for one individual to be good in all these disciplines. So like you almost need a team. And then if you have someone who's managing that, yeah, you can do a really good job. But it's really hard to, it's just, I don't know. It's really hard to know everything there is about marketing, even as a marketing agency or as a marketing individual with a degree from a school that says, hey, this person knows everything there is about marketing. It's constantly developing. It's constantly changing. And we're seeing that with AI now. The way that's changing business. We're seeing that with just the digital landscape in general. That you may be at a point where you don't feel like you need a marketing agency yet, but that's why we wanted to be in consulting, is because we were like, let us help identify where's the best place to go and where do you need that education? Because some people just want to buy. Hey, I just do it for me. I don't want to take the time to figure it out. I'm plenty busy. I want to be a shed builder. I'm assuming you guys experience something similar.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we probably worked with north of 50 shed brands at least. So we've kind of seen the whole range of different styles, different partnerships. I can speak maybe a little bit about what the value, should you hire an agency, and what the value proposition is kind of with an agency. So like you said, it's really hard to know everything. So we have clients all the way from like, they're doing their first 1.5 million in annual revenue, where it's just owner operator, dad and the boys, whatever, family business type of thing, all the way up to, much larger businesses that have, actually entire in-house marketing teams. And we have a number of clients there where they still retain us in some capacity. And the beauty is so we're a full service marketing agency, which means we have teams, focused on a breadth of different marketing subcategories. The value proposition there is that we can tailor the specific services that we're providing to a client based on what the skill set of their internal team is, right? So we have one client who's very large, and they hired a new marketing manager. His background was in creative direction, art direction, design. So he's really passionate about like brand, logo, design, look and feel of things, right? And he would say himself, like, not really any clue about SEO. That's not his wheelhouse. No interest. Not interested in managing like paid campaigns when it comes to different. I mean, they're at the scale where they're running different types of Google ad campaigns and, overlapping campaigns, and then meta campaigns, and, testing alternate platforms and all this kind of stuff. Right. So he ended up hiring a couple of additional people. So they have a multi-person internal team now, but we still work with them, providing a lot of SEO services, website maintenance. They have a very complex site. So that's just one example where we kind of scaled with them over a number of years, and the nature of the relationship changed over that time period. So what you can get with an agency is the expertise of a really specialized marketer at the cost of a part-time hire or less,
Right.
right? And so you might be able to hire like an intern or somebody just out of college, which everyone needs to start somewhere. So I'm not knocking that. And that's actually, that can be a really, if you find the right person, that can be a really good value for a first hire in marketing. And it's also useful to have someone on the ground in the business who's there day to day. They can go out to the lot and take pictures. They can go out to the shop and, capture video, whatever it is. So there's definitely a place for that at the right scale. But for less than the cost of a full-time hire like that, you can tap into an agency that has, the way we're structured is every client, they have an account manager that they can call at any time. They have a strategist then who's taking like the 30,000 foot view of where should the marketing be headed? What's the direction? But then those two work together with the client to kind of figure out what is the priorities for where you specifically are right now as a business. What do we focus on next? Let's generate priorities. And then those go to all of our specialized internal teams, Google ads, meta ads, SEO, local SEO, e-commerce in cases where that makes sense, CRM implementation, developers like photo, video, print design, all these different things. And to be able to get that right, for the cost of a part-time hire, is really hard to replicate. So that's kind of the general value prop of having a full service agency, on hire.
Man, I love it. I love everything about it because I know how necessary it is. Excuse me. And I know the questions that we get and that we've gotten over 5 years, or 12 years overall, but really, just even the last 5 years podcasting, people want to know, but they want to know for the purpose of typically making the best decision. I'm of the opinion, Joel and James, let me know what you guys think. But I'm of the opinion that most people who are like, well, I can do it myself. I can do my own marketing. It's a lot like building a shed. Like once you start actually looking at the work, unless you desire to do it, like you get very bored with it quick. So like we could give all the secret sauce and the trade secrets away, which is so anti shed industry, right? Hide it. Don't let somebody else copy what we're doing. And it's like, well, I don't know. It's sitting out there in a lot. Pretty much everybody can see what you're doing. It's the same way with marketing. You can almost tell everybody our secret sauce. And for like a lot of manufacturers, they're going to go, well, I don't want to do this stuff anyway. I'd still just assume pay you to do it because I don't have the time. Right. Talk about like a Google ad. You talked about like I've used the line at least, I don't know, 50 times. Like you can spend $1,000 a month on Google and pay our $5.99 fee or whatever it is to run your ads. So now you're at $16.99, or you can take $16.99 and you can run them yourself. And honestly, I believe that we will get better results with the $11.99 budget we have, or whatever the $1,000 budget we have, than you will with the whole $16.99 because you're not a marketer, you haven't run ads, you haven't learned it. Now, that's not saying you won't learn it or can't learn it. The question becomes, how much money do you need to spend to figure out marketing? How much money do you need to spend to be a good hauler, to be a good salesperson, to be a good manufacturer? So like that was always sort of our approach. I don't know how you guys have looked at it, or if you want to share, but
I got a big day tomorrow. I have a fully finished 18 by 40 cabin that's going to require 2 to 3 meals to get it delivered. Way back in the sticks and down a dirt lane. With all the rain we've had lately, it's going to be a mess. Well, it needs a bigger mule.
Well, when you talk, Cardinal listens, and you asked for it. With its diesel-powered 69-horse engine and capacity to move 40,000-pound sheds, the Mule 9069 is ready to turn your big days into just another day in the good life.
Ah, that's right. You're talking about the one they had up in Michigan at the shed show. That monster mule, that thing was awesome.
That's right. It's the one you've seen at all the shed hauler barbecues.
Man, yeah, there's nothing like a little diesel donkey to make my day go so much better.
No, I mean, if people want to do it themselves, like by all means, um, we're not really here to kind of push ourselves onto people who aren't ready for it, right? It's like a mechanic going and knocking on doors. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I don't want to change my own oil, right? Do I know how to? Absolutely. Um, you know, unfortunately, I don't have a shop. I don't have a lift. I don't have a place to dispose of oil. I mean, yes, I could find all these things, or I can go and have it done, in 20 minutes and be on my way, right? And is it going to cost me a few bucks more? Definitely. Is it worth it? Also, definitely for me, right? So if you're set up with a shop and you got, you can put on the lift and whatever, then it makes sense for you to do your own oil changes, right? When my dad has an auto repair shop, so if I'm around, I can go change my oil at his shop. If I'm not, then I'm definitely paying somebody to do it, right? So it's a little bit that approach. We're not we're not super secretive like with what our strategies are. I mean, we don't share, uh, clients, their analytics, obviously, that sort of thing. But from a strategy perspective, I mean, quite frankly, most of it's out there on the internet. Like anybody that has the time and the desire can go do it, and some have, and other people. We see people, we pioneer. Sometimes we've pioneered a few strategies here and there, and then you start to see other people replicating, and that's the nature of business, right? Is that we improve each other, the bar gets raised, and that's just how it goes. And so we're definitely big on making sure clients have as much information as they want from us to understand the strategies that we're recommending and that we're pursuing. We want them to know the why behind the things that we're recommending, and we want to stay really closely aligned with, like, at the end of the day, the thing that matters is bottom line revenue, right? Or bottom line profit, right? Top line revenue is maybe secondary, and then leads are like the most immediate marketing indicator that direct into those things, and then you work backwards from there. Yes, like clicks and impressions and those things are important as much as they contribute to leads, which are important as much as they contribute to top line sales, which is important as much as it contributes to bottom line profit, right? And so really making sure that our teams, as much as possible, are they're not business owners, right? But we're trying to instill in them that motivation to think like a business owner, right? What are the things that really matter? What is the bottleneck now? Let's address that. Let's move to the next thing. The way we're currently set up, we don't really have like set packages even. So we work with like monthly budgets, but we're very flexible internally about like, what does this particular client need right now? All right, the hours this month are going toward that. Maybe they need to build out, some capabilities in their CRM. That's where it's going. Maybe they're doing a print campaign to promote a in-person event. Okay, we can shift focus there, but just trying to think, and identify. And it's the same thing that I think you're doing, with consulting, is coming in and helping people figure out what is the bottleneck. Because sometimes when you're in the business, it's a little hard. I had a conversation a couple of months ago with a business advisor, and in like 90 minutes, he gave me more clarity than I had in like the past year in terms of like, what are the couple of key metrics that I need to be focused on right now for where the business is at? What are the levers that we need to work on pulling? And it was amazing, right? And so I think that's the value that you provide as a consultant, that we try to provide to our strategy team, is to really identify that bottleneck and then hit it and solve it.
We're just by nature, we're just conversationalists. We're people that are curious about what other people's experiences are. I mean, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. So I mean, like, first thing I do whenever I have a serious question is I'll go out here and ask Cord, Indiana, and be like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? It doesn't always mean that you're always going to take that, thought and put it into practice, but you're going to gather as much education as you can so that you make the best decision. What you're really trying to eliminate, at least for me, is the most bad decisions. For me, I'm just trying to be risk adverse and take away the most risky things, and then like see where some of those things land. Which this is why I think that the consultation will work. This is why I think the collaboration, even with companies, work. I mean, we went out and hit it really hard on marketing, and probably the biggest lesson we learned is we come back, with our tail between our legs, because we were like too fast, too quick, didn't set reasonable expectations, and what we did do is offer up a lot of education, a lot of consultation, right? And a lot of people were like, we need something, we need this. And like, we were like, okay, we'll provide that for you. And then, we failed in many cases on that because of too fast, too quick. And that's why we've changed some things over here, because our focus is and always will be, and we want it to be, the results. And you said that earlier. You said the bottom line profit is what matters, right? And it's not because money is all that matters, but because you're paying for a service, so you need results. And if you're not going to keep paying. And if you are, you're going to keep going.
And I should clarify that I don't mean that's all that matters in the world by any means. I actually very much disagree with that mindset. But when we're talking about from a business perspective, why you would hire a marketing company, right? 99% of the time, that's going to be geared at improving the numbers, improving revenue and profits.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to paint you into a corner there by any means, because I think I know what you mean, but to make sure it comes across right on the podcast, right, is like well, what you do in your company matters, but the results will drive a lot of the future, opportunities, whether it's for or against. And but listen, first of all, I've never just in full transparency and now in my 6-year podcasting, I've never heard one negative thing about unpack marketing. I've only heard positive things. Only. Now, I don't know if you can keep that up forever, but
no, I'm sure if you talk to the right people, you'll hear there's definitely been things where we've slipped up, or and again, it's that thing of like, right, maintaining humility. That like, I mean, I'm glad to hear that you've only heard good things. I'm sure if you talk to the right people, you'll hear some of the ways that we've slipped up in the past. But we want to be able then to recognize when we do that and figure out, okay, what caused this, right? Can we do a solid postmortem on what the issue was here? We have clients that, that leave from time to time, and we like to have every one of them, do a quick exit survey on the way out so that we know what do we have to do better? Where do we have to grow? Thankfully, we don't have too many of those, a whole lot, but it's always about learning. We're not the best, but we're better than we were last year.
No, that's exactly right. Kudos to you guys for even taking that exit strategy, and leaving it in a place where that customer can come back. Right. That's what you want to do instead of burning that bridge. And very important. That's just general business acumen. It's not even a marketing strategy, right? That's just like a people strategy. And I think Joel would agree with that as the chief people officer. It's just how you treat people. It's how you leave them. It's how you find them. It's how you work with them. And it's how you leave them. This is why I'm excited. You guys, I've always seen you as the pinnacle in the industry. And I think of so many other good companies too. Don't get me wrong. We'll leave someone out if we get started, but I mean, whether it's Jim Mosier or Rosewood or Schweb or, gosh, I don't know. There's just, there's so many. It seemed like whenever I got in, it was you guys and
Wide Up.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that. I was like, and that's one of the beautiful things is there's so many options now. People have choices. It's definitely something we've seen in the last, like, for sure 3 years, is that I think Jim mentioned it as well, and we may have even been at a shed show, I think 1 or 2 shows prior to when he first started coming. So like, it was us and Wide Up. And the last show, there was probably, I want to say 10 vendors offering marketing services of one sort or another, at least. And so, there's options out there and people have choices, which, it's good. It means we all got to stay sharp and we all got to be providing the best service that we can. And, there's pros and cons to different models. Different vendors have like different areas of core expertise. So I think the industry's at a good place in terms of having options.
I think too, like you were saying, James, earlier with the football analogy, I mean, it's also great I would recommend companies explore what those options are. Like, take the time, if you're going to make the investment into marketing, whether an agency or not, take the time to understand what their playbooks are almost, and what they can do for you. Because there's a reason that a coach can coach a team and have 3 wins in a season, and then he switches teams and he has 14 wins the next season. The coach didn't learn something vastly new necessarily. That just really worked for that structure and that team. And so ask questions. Ask questions as we're talking about education. You can be as educated, it seems like, in this day and age as you want to be. And so ask the questions and don't be afraid to ask dumb questions. But yeah, all the competition, the other reason is we're talking about getting into marketing and education. If you're not asking the questions, somebody else is. Somebody else, another company, another of your competitors is going to be talking to these guys and pushing forward and wondering about this and testing this hypothesis. And so if you're looking to grow and you're not doing that, it may be time to start doing that.
Yeah.
Jim even talked about that. He talked about the race to the bottom because there's so many people. And, maybe it is a race to the bottom, but it's kind of like, rent-own. I mean, I remember whenever it seemed like there was only really 5 or 6 rent-own companies really out there. Now you go to the NSRA and there's 50 companies represented there at least. And that's not even all the companies that exist. But 3D configurators has really, become that space. And arguably you could put them into that marketing bubble to some extent, just because of, the way the lead attribution happens from a 3D modeler, is really a great lead. And we support all of them. We love them. We're glad that they, exist in this space, because there's a lot of clients. And the more the more we grow, the bigger the industry is, the more those things are needed, the more marketing. And I don't know what the next big thing is, but it seems like those 3 areas are definitely very flush with competition, and that's good, I think, generally speaking. But
hello, shed builders. I'd like to grab your attention for just a moment. As we look ahead, one thing is clear. Customers will have higher expectations than ever before. Shed consumers have an unprecedented access to information. To stay competitive, you need to create sheds that are not only high in quality, but also rich in innovation. You might recall my friend Dan Ream, one of my early podcast guests, who introduced Solar Blaster fans, specifically the Solar Roof Blaster. Dan has been busy handling orders, and he's eager to speak directly to shed builders about his groundbreaking products. What stands out to me about Dan's products designed specifically for sheds, like the Solar Roof Blaster and the Solar Light Blaster, is how they enhance the shed owner's experience. With the focus on quality, it's time to start thinking about adding features and benefits for the end user. Here at Shed Geek, we wholeheartedly recommend Solar Blaster as the solution. My favorite thing about the entire line of products? The support you'll receive from Dan. Not only is he incredibly knowledgeable about these products, but he's also one of the most customer-focused individuals I know. He truly stands behind both his product and his service. We're searching for companies ready to elevate customer satisfaction to the next level. To learn more, just visit solarblasterfans.com and fill out some basic information for a callback, or connect directly at 480-747-7097. You can also check out the Shed Geek newsletter, where a click on the Solar Blaster ad will guide you to a form for more information and some cool videos showcasing the products. Let's power up innovation and elevate customer experiences together.
you had some thoughts, James. I feel like I cut you off there. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to piggyback off of that and say, like, yeah, I wasn't counting even the configurators in that number, although some of them have now, added marketing offerings, which I would kind of class as marketing services. But again, like, there's different models to choose from, right? So like you said, we're maybe I wouldn't say, I don't like to say that we're the best, right? And again, we're trying to be better every single year. But one thing that we do that's unique is we'll only partner with one company per industry, per immediate geographic area. So that means we end up turning a lot of leads away. And so it's a great thing that there's a lot of options out there now that we can point people toward. I have a list of agencies. I don't have referral agreements with these guys, necessarily or anything. I just say, hey, here's some other, your shed company, here's some other shed agencies you could check out, because unfortunately, we're already partnered with one of your competitors. And so the fact that there's just that, and then there's the thing too, where like some of the configurator brands now have marketing services, and they're pushing that vertical integration model. And there's definitely some benefits there in terms of, you're probably going to have the most seamless tech experience. Like, the tech stack is going to work the most seamlessly if you keep everything under one roof. There's pros and cons. There's trade-offs to that model as well, where then you're a little bit limited by whatever the scope is of the the marketing features that that company adds on, but there's pros and cons to everything. And so helping people to learn what the trade-offs are, it's going to work best for your brand. That's where the consultative piece of it is so important. But yeah, we try to maintain great relationships with all of our partners and competitors. That's why the shed shows are always a good time.
It's so important, and you got to be there. And to Joel's point, ask questions when you go. You didn't travel all the way to Knoxville. Neither did these other people, and spend a bunch of money on a booth and a setup and wear nice clothes to impress you, that day or whatever it is. You know what I mean? A nice claw machine dropping out of the sky, whatever it is. You know what I mean? We've seen it all, kangaroos and everything else there. People don't do all this so that you won't come up and ask questions. So like if there's ever been a perfect time to ask them, it's there. They want those questions. They welcome those questions. You guys are there working the booth for that reason. And there's a lot of freedom in that moment because you can honestly, you're almost consulting in your sales approach just by naturally educating people so that they can then make a better decision. And I think some people even take away how you treat them in that moment, how you treat them on a phone call from day one, how you treat them at a shed show whenever they walk up to your booth. Those things are very important to people, how approachable you are, and all those things. I know we're getting into 50 minutes. I wanted to ask you guys just as sort of some final thoughts, if you will. And I thought about doing like one or two questions, but I really want you to just kind of like both of you just open freedom here. What should people know? What should companies know, regardless of size, regardless of 100 million plus or 50 smaller than 50 million, or even the shed manufacturer who's doing 50 buildings a year or whatever. What's the best marketing advice that you can give them here today? What should they know? What should they be planning for over the next year?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's so much that you could tailor specifically to that individual company, depending on where they're at, even geographically. But I would say, man, just recognize where your audience is at. Is going to be the first thing that comes to my brain. There's no reason to be on LinkedIn as much as you are trying to promote something if that's not where your audience is at the end of the day. There's no reason to do SEO if you have a website that doesn't really function to begin with, and so it's not going to be very operable. So know where your audience is, and I think James even said this earlier as you guys were talking about it, but just identify that first problem that you need to solve to be able to interact with them and get to where they're at.
Good answer.
And to take it full circle, kind of back to where we started, is know the problem that your customer is trying to solve, right? And then put yourself into their shoes. Even better than trying to put yourself into their shoes is, listening to what they tell you on sales calls or just asking them, right? But what is the problem they're trying to solve? How would they go about solving that problem, right? And then make sure that you're there where they're solving that problem. So, yeah, a lot of times your most interested buyer, when they're ready to purchase, they're going to go to Google or now the AI augmented search tools, and they're going to say like, right, who can I buy from? Then you also have the people who are browsing and scrolling on Facebook and these other platforms that are getting aware, and those are also good places to be at. But at the end of the day, you want to be found where your customer is going to search when they're trying to solve the problem that you can solve for them, and make sure that you're found, at the peak moment of interest.
I got to tell you, Joel, thinking about just even that small comment that you made, like, why are you purchasing SEO services when your website needs so much work? You don't want to get a bunch of people to a shed lot that doesn't look good or have many buildings, right? So you don't want to get people to a website that's not optimized to do its job, to do the best thing it can for you. And this, to me, this is exactly where, you can replace education with consultation. This is why that's been exciting to us to be able to do, and even share or professionally collaborate with folks like Impact and others to give the customer the best experience, right? Like money's the byproduct of like doing good business. It's necessary. But if the focus is on helping the people, achieve the best results, then the money always follows anyway, because it becomes a natural part. No one's going to have a problem paying for, $1,000 ad budgets or even $10,000 ad budgets when it makes more money than what you're spending. The problem you have is whenever, regardless of the cost of it, is it's not getting the results that you're seeking. That's whenever things get upside down. So you have to be able to provide those results. And I got to tell you, eImpact has been doing it for a long time. I consider you guys definitely on the Mount Rushmore of shed marketing agencies. I've appreciated, getting to know you guys and your thoughts on things just over the years. Very appreciative for you and what you do in this space. I think it helps build up our space, not tear it down, and that means a lot. So I'm a big fan, and I have been for a long time, and want to continue to be for a long time, and have that professional collaboration. So thank you guys, for that. For folks who want to know more about you, how do they reach out to you? We're going to have a link to your website in the newsletter. So for those who aren't subscribed to our newsletter, just contact Deanna, DEANNA at shedgeek.com. She'll get you added. Go click on these links, find out about these companies like eImpact and what they do. Some of the advertisers on there, they're going to be happy to chat with you and talk with you. But how do they get a hold of you if they need to, James and Joe?
Yeah. If you're online, www.eimpact, all one word, .marketing. eimpact.marketing is the website, or you can shoot me an email, sales@eimpact.marketing, or you can call us. Our main line is 717-929-8780. And depending what your question is, it'll most likely route to Joel or myself if it has something to do with an initial inquiry. So yeah, we're happy to talk. Like you said, we appreciate what you've done as well. We love providing value, seeing value provided to the industry. Jesus says more blessed to give than to receive, right? Or give and it will be given to you, and just all those things. Is just trying our best to be helpful, to be useful, and serve the industry well. Which I think you're kind of one of the hubs for that in the industry, which is why it's been great to chat today. But even offline, the conversations we've had, we want to help people.
We've been blessed with cool opportunities and just really cool people that we get to meet. That's probably my favorite thing, is the communication part and the relationship and networking part. Like those always take precedent over anything I do, from whether it's connecting with finance or marketing or rent to own or whatever. Like my favorite thing to do is just sit down and chat with people, break bread with them, talk with them, get to know them. If I could do that the rest of my life and didn't need money, then I would do it all the time, every day. I enjoy it. I love hearing people's stories. I really do believe that good communication solves a lot of problems. It's the mind's eye to education is beginning a conversation and starting to talk. My wife says, you just talk to anybody, don't you? And I'm like, well, everybody's got something to say. I promise you, I can learn from anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. And I try to keep an open mind to that. Learned a lot from eImpact. You guys have been leaders in the industry. We have definitely, learned a lot from you guys, and appreciate what you guys do, continue to do, and have done. Any final thoughts? Just anything, any shout outs you want to give, or any final thoughts, any questions you have for the industry or whatever, just whatever your final thoughts are, feel free to share them.
You got anything?
I was just going to echo, James, what you were saying, and just thank you. I'm looking forward to working together more. Shannon, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to collaborate together and to go deeper into the industry. Just be inquisitive. I don't know. I don't have too many final thoughts other than continue to be inquisitive. There's always something new out there. It's kind of exciting. There is something to be said for, it's hard work. But it's also, I don't have to stock the same dairy shelf at the local grocery store every day. I know where the bottles go. I know where the coffee creamer goes. It's different. There's no day is going to be the same. And in fact, you're going to have some days that are vastly, vastly different. And so just continue to be inquisitive about things.
I gotta tell you, James, if we don't play kickball the next time we're together with Joe, like whether it's a youth group or not, like we just need to, we need a professional kickball shed team. That's what we need. We need an organization.
There we go.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm looking. At the next shed show, we'll go behind those back barriers to the empty part of the warehouse, play some dodgeball, right?
Some dodgeball.
Get the blood flowing. Yeah, yeah. No, only thing I would say, or I would end to in terms of shout outs, definitely our team. I mean, Joel and I are here on the show, but there's a whole team of people behind the scenes that are doing hard work and every single day working really hard to make things happen. And the fact that we're, if you want to call us quote unquote leaders in the industry, is only because of the people behind the scenes that are really doing the work. We have 2 in-person offices, and our team is in person every single day. For the most part, we're majority in person, and 95 to 99% of the work that's being done is being done by our team. Just people sitting together in the same rooms, solving problems, collaborating, and it's all that effort behind the scenes. They're the ones that actually make it happen. So we can't take credit for the majority of it. It's a team effort.
Good word. We'll leave it on that. Actually, if you guys don't care, I feel like it's been a little bit since I've sent the audience out with a prayer. Would you guys mind if I just kind of pray over the industry as we move forward? I always feel like giving honor to our Lord and Savior, and especially in a time today where there's so much angst and anxiety in the news and things like that, that sometimes we just got to be reminded, of whose we are and who's watching out for us. If you guys don't care, I'll just end the episode. Hang around afterwards, and we'll chat a bit. But I'll just lead us in prayer. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for just opportunity to come together as friends and collaborators, and even as competitors, Lord, that you would make us competitors for the purpose of doing better for our customers, better for the industry, and that we can somehow find some avenue in there where we can talk and communicate at high levels, professional levels, to do the best thing we can for each other and for the industry as a whole. We thank you for your son. The Easter season is upon us, and we're so thankful that he would die for us and to atone for our sins. And we're so thankful that we have something to measure goodness against, and that is your name, God. We ask you to forgive us where we fail. We do. And we ask that you would pick us up in those broken places and offer us, something better in the end, just as you did Job, Lord. Just give us something more, give us something better as you piece us back together as only you can do. God, I just pray for the nation and really the world with all the anxiety that exists in the news today. Help remind us of something that's solid, and that was here before and will be here long after. So just remind us to be calm and to exercise kindness in our day. And really, just more than anything, we're thankful. We have a thankful heart today for you and that all that you've done for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you guys so much. Unpack, you're just excellent people and excellent guests. So thank you guys for being on today.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate you
Great to
having
be
us.
here.
Thanks again, Shed Pro, for being the Shed Geeks studio sponsor. If you need any more information about Shed Pro or about Shed Geek, just reach out. You can reach us by email at info@shedgeek.com, or just go to our website, www.shedgeek.com, and submit a form with your information, and we'll be in contact right away. Thank you again for listening, as always, to today's episode of the Shed Geek Podcast. Thank you and have a blessed day.